Okay, this video talks about factoring traits from section 5.8 in our textbook. A is positive 1, B can be either positive or negative, but the defining trait here is that C is now a negative number. So it's a three-step process. You can think of it as a three-step process. Arrange in descending order, just meaning highest power first, and put the powers in order as they occur. But now the new piece is we're finding factors of a negative number. When we add the factors together, we'll still get B, the coefficient on the term in the middle, but now one factor will be positive and the other factor will be negative, which means that your binomial factors in step number 3 will have alternating signs. One will contain addition, the other will have subtraction. So let's look at the first example and identify A, B, and C. A is 1, B is negative 5, and C is negative 24. So we're looking for factors of negative 24, and when I add those numbers together, I should get negative 5. So we'll test, just to show you how this works, I could test positive 8 and negative 3. Positive 8 times negative 3 does give you negative 24, but when I add those two numbers together, I get positive 5. So if I reverse the signs and let 8 be negative and 3 be positive, when I add those two numbers together, I get negative 5. So that means that I'm looking at the combination of negative 8, positive 3, and my factors become x minus 8 times x plus 3. And always mentally multiply back to make sure that you have the same answer. X times x is x squared. X times positive 3 gives me 3x. Negative 8 times positive x gives me negative 8x. When I combine those, I get negative 5x. And then finally, negative 8 times positive 3 gives me the negative 24 on the end that I was looking for. So that's a check. Example number 2. X squared plus 10x plus or minus 24. I have A, B, and C. A is 1, B is positive 10, and C is negative 24. I need factors of negative 24, and when I add them together, I should get positive 10. So I will try 12 and negative 2, or negative 12 and positive 2. When I add positive 12 and negative 2, I get positive 10. Negative 12 and positive 2 gives me negative 10. Since my term in the middle is positive 10x, that tells me that the factors I'm looking for are positive 12 and negative 2. So the way that I write the binomials, it becomes x plus 12 times x minus 2. And always check, x times x gives you x squared, x times negative 2, and 12 times x. When I combine those, it gives me the term in the middle that I was looking for, and positive 12 times negative 2 gives me negative 24. Example number 3, identifying A, B, and C. A is 1, B is negative 13, and C is negative 48. So I'm looking for factors of negative 48, and when I add them together, I get negative 13. So I could try positive 16 and negative 3, or negative 16 and positive 3. 16 times 3 gives me 48. When I add the first grouping together, I get positive 13. When I switch the signs, I get negative 13. So I go back to my problem, and I see that my middle term is negative 13. So that leads me to negative 16, positive 3, and my factors are x minus 16 times x plus 3. And as always, mentally check to make sure that you've gotten the right answer. And then finally, the last problem, number 4, we'll identify A, B, and C. A is 1, B is 6, C is negative 16. I need factors of negative 16, and when I add them together, I should get positive 6. So if I try negative 8 and positive 2, or positive 8 and negative 2, when I add the first grouping together, I get negative 6. When I add the second pair together, I get positive 6. Go back and look at the quadratic. I need positive 6, so that means that the factors I'm looking for, positive 8 and negative 2. So my binomials become x plus 8 times x minus 2. And as always, mentally check to make sure that you have, that you, when you multiply your factors, you get the polynomial that you started with.